Welcome student. Now we discussing about ME 3493 manufacturing technology subject. The topic of milling machines. In the milling machine topic, we discussing about the milling machine types, and milling cutter, milling operations. These are the topics we'll be conducting. For milling machine is the machining process in which the removal of metal take place due to the cutting action of the rotating milling cutter. In the milling machine, the cutter is rotating due to this workpiece is fed against it. This can hold more than one tool at the time. The cutter rotating at the high speed, and because of the many cutting edge, it remove metal at a very fast rate. The machine can also hold one or a number of cutter at a time. Thus, the milling machine is one of the most important machine in the workshop. In this machine, all the operation can performed with high accuracy. The basic milling machine is shown in the figure, and the part of milling machines are base, column, saddle, table, overarm, front beam, spindle, and arbor. The bottom one range is a base. The base will be attached in the column and the elevating screw. The column top of the column will be attached to overram, and overram will be attaching a arbor also, and the column and arbor will attach to the spindle. That spindle is hold at the milling cutter, and also the front of the column will arrange the guideway. That guideway is supporting to the move up and down of our saddle, and the elevating screw is supporting to saddle move up and down also, and crosswise movement. The top of the saddle will attach to the table. Mostly T-slot table will be using for hold the work holding device. This is the parts. Then working principle of milling machine. The working principle of milling machine applied in the metal removal operation on a milling machine. The work is rigidly clamped on the table of the machine and removing multi-tooth cutter mounted on the spindle. Like diagram, the cutter remove at the normal speed and the work feed slowly past the cutter. The work can be feed in a longitudinal, vertical, or cross direction as the work process further. Cutter tooth remove the metal from the work surface to produce the desired shape. The different types of milling machines, like the milling machine will be classified for column and knee type, manufacturing type or fixed bed type, planer type, and last one special type milling machines. In column and knee type milling machines further classified to hand milling machine, plain or horizontal milling machine, vertical milling machine, universal milling machine, and omniversal milling machine. The basically plain and vertical milling machine is mostly using. Some other place will be using for universal milling machine also. And the next, types of milling cutters. In the different types of milling cutters using for different types of milling operation, individual operations will be choose the best cutter. First of all, we choose the milling cutter in the proper. It means we are our metal removal rate and obtaining the surface finish will be good. The milling cutters type. A milling machine is a machine tool that cut the metal as the workpiece is fed against the rotating multi-point cutter. The milling cutter rotates at a very high speed because of the multiple cutting edge. It cuts the metal at very fast rate. This machining can also hold single or multiple cutter at the same time. The different types of milling cutters: solid milling cutter, tipped solid milling cutter, inset tooth milling cutter, profile leaf milling cutter, form relief milling cutter, arbor type milling cutter, phasing type milling cutter, and shank type milling cutter. Another types are right hand rotational cutter, left hand rotational cutter, parallel or straight tooth cutter, right hand helical cutter, left hand helical cutter, and special milling cutters. These are the different types of milling cutters using for the different kinds of milling operations. For the According to the construction feature of cutters, a solid cutter has tooth with the cutter body. Cutter are of similar diameter and made of one piece material. Usually the high speed steel will be using for solid cutter. And tipped solid cutter is similar to a solid cutter except that the cutter tooth are made of cemented carbide or very hard braced on the tool shank of the ordinary tool steel cutter body. Next, insert tooth cutter. In large milling cutter, the tooth or blade are inset or screwed in the body of a less expensive material. The blade are held in the cutter body by mechanical means. This arrangement reduce the cost of the cutter and enable economy of machining, as the single tooth is broken can easily replaced. And different milling cutters are using for different works. Next, types of milling operations. In plain milling cutter, this type of milling cutter are circular in shape and have tooth on the circumferential surface only. The cutters are instructed for protection of the flat surface parallel to the axis of rotation in the spindle, like the diagram. Next, light duty milling cutters. The light duty milling cutters have a face with a less than 20 mm and are made with straight tooth parallel to the axis. The wide cutters are made with helical tooth with the helical angle fewer than 25 degree. The heavy duty milling cutter. The helical duty plain milling cutters are wider cutter and are used for heavy duty work. The helical angle of the tooth range from 25 to 45 degree. The helical plane milling cutter. The helical plane milling cutter have further area, pitch and helical angle of the tooth range from 45 to 60 degree. The cutter is useful in profile milling work due to the tooth cutting action and it adapted for taking light cuts. Next, side milling cutter shown in the figure, like very simple amount of metal will be removed in the vertical face of the element it will be using. Next, plain side milling cutter, both are using same work. For the cube, for the solid cube workpiece will be remove the metal in terms of vertical face, it will be supporting to the remove one. And next, angle milling cutter. It is a single angle milling cutter and double angle milling cutters are having. Single angle milling cutter, it means only one surface will be in produce this angle. Whatever we want the angle, first of all we choose the that particular angle of cutter and it will be work in the same like plain milling cutter. It will be produce a angular surface. And double angle milling cutter, in double angle milling cutter illustrate in the figure heavy for weak milling cutter itself. It will be from varies from 12 to 36 mm diameter, and thickness also having. The inclined angle will be vary from 55 to 100 degree. It will be changing to the one. And end milling, the end milling have cutting tooth on the end as well as the periphery of the cutter. The peripheral tooth may be straight or helical. It will be produced the flat and end milling work. Then taper sang end miller. It is same as the end milling cutter, but the body of milling cutter will be in the some taper one shown in the figure. Then straight sang milling cutter, same the end milling cutter, but the body of milling cutter is the straight one. Then shell end milling cutter, the shell end milling are larger and heavier, and mills produced with the center hole for mounting the cutter. And T-slot milling cutter is a special one. The T-slot milling cutter is special form of end milling for producing T-slat, like if diagram having. Then Woodruff key slot milling cutter. These cutters are small in size and similar in construction to a thin small diameter plain milling cutter. It will be using to make a keyway for the flat surface. It will be using, and many of milling cutters having for concave milling cutter, convex milling cutter, all the milling cutters are working like that for plain milling cutter. And the projection of milling operation will in terms of the milling angles and milling cutter shape will be getting the plain milling surface. Next, milling machine operation, the last topic of this milling machine operation. Different kind of milling cutters are using for different kinds of milling operation. For the different types of milling operation like that, plain milling operation, phase milling operation, side milling operation, treble milling operation, angular milling operation, gang milling operation, form milling operation, profile milling operation, end milling operation, show milling operation, keyway, groove and slot cutting milling operation, gear milling operation, helical milling operation, cam milling operation, and last one, thread milling operation. These are the different types of milling operations having. That plain milling operation shown in the figure, our plain milling cutter will be produced in a plain milling operation. For the slab will be produced, the metal will removed in the flat surface like that. Next, phase milling operation, the milling cutter will be removed in terms of work phase. Okay, phase, that is similar in the simplest milling operation 1. Then side milling and saddle milling will be produced same as a work shown in the figure. And angular milling machine, the angular milling is the operation of producing an angular surface of the workpiece other than straight angle of the axis of the milling machine. The spindle, the angular groove may be single or double angle and may be for varying inclined angle according to the types of cutter will be choose. And gang milling operation, in a single spindle more than one milling cutters are hold and operation at the same time for different milling operation at the same time. That is nothing but a gang milling operation. And form milling operation, profile milling operation, end milling operation. These all the works will be done in terms of cutter space will be produced in the different kinds of milling operations. These are the different kinds of milling operation having. Thank you students. Thank you once again.